Hey, welcome, one and all, to another episode of A Scotsman Talks To. And I want to thank you all for listening and watching to all the previous other episodes. So far, all the comments have been fantastic and fun. And here we are with another excellent guest. And I'm kind of looking forward to this one because when I do my pre-tech kind of checks with guests, as I've mentioned this before, it's also kind of just getting a feel for them and having a chat. And I think I mentioned in a post earlier, we both nearly missed a meeting. We both had meetings at 3:00 and we both nearly missed them because we basically wouldn't shut up. We were chatting and having fun in the pre-tech talk and nearly missed our appointments. I believe our guest had a business appointment and mine was probably more important. Mine was to pick up my wife. So it nearly went disastrously. So tonight we have a gentleman, a man of wizardly proportions, a man who dabbles in the mystic arts, a man who, admittedly, when I met him for the first few times at the Fringes, tried to avoid him like the plague because he does mentalism. And that always freaks me out. But I really like this guy. He's such a nice fella. So, ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is the wonderful Jess? Oh, my mouth hasn't even started working tonight. Jeff Newman. So, let us welcome Jeff to A Scotsman Talks. Jeff,
hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you? That was the probably one of the best intros I think I've ever had.
Well, apparently you're Jess Newman now.
I'll take it. You know what? If people remember me and they can find it, great. Awesome.
Excellent. So, Jeff, thank you very much for coming on as a guest.
My pleasure. Yeah.
We've met a few times at Fringes, and I think one of the first things I ever said to you was, I'm running away from you because you do so many wonderful things. But I think you were doing a mentalist practice thing in one of the green rooms, and I'm just like, no, I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because that is something that we actually come across a lot. For some reason, as soon as when people see, oh, you're a magician. Oh, okay. You put the cup under the ball, or maybe you do a card trick. People seem to be like, okay, we get it. We get that there's a trick there. Like, okay, we don't know what you did, but you did something. You're a sneaky guy. The second you throw in any kind of mind reading or any kind of like predictions, all of a sudden it goes from magic trick to scary as hell. And I don't know like why. But we've run into a few things. One of which is actually kind of like a story that has seemed to follow me around forever. So yeah, I get it. I understand.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Well, here I thought we were getting a story off the cuff. I just got so excited. No, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we're all just mental and we're terrified at people actually seeing how mental we are.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? We better start where we should always start before we get into any stories and the tomfoolery and nonsense that is bound to happen during this show. I've discovered. I think we need to start at the beginning. And
yes.
Because this show is about you, what I'd like you to do is just tell everyone about you. Introduce yourself to the world.
Well, I am Jeff Newman, and I am a mentalist, magician, and all-around trickster. My entire job is to stand in front of people and basically read their minds, influence their thoughts, and predict what they do before they even know they are doing it. So we've been doing that for that's right. Me and my fiance have worked together on these shows since since we met, basically. And we met she cast me in a theater production unrelated to magic and mentalism, but she picked up working with me really, really fast. And since then we've created several different shows. We've toured around the world. We've done shows for fringe festivals and theaters and cruise ships and all kinds of stuff. Amazing. So yeah, so that's the really like short version. I mean, if we want, we can, talk about like long walks on the beach and
we might get into that. Actually, I'm just, a comment came through there that just caught my eye, and it's a future guest, Michael Williams. And he's saying hello to us both from Hamilton.
Well, hello.
So, and actually, an interesting side note, Michael is coming on in the future, and he's actually my mentor, which is really funny. So that's going to be like just me fanboying for the whole episode. So you basically do this with your fiance, who I'm sorry, I'm going to say this now. I feel sorry for that woman. I have seen your bad joke series, and that poor lassie. If you haven't seen this, before we get you to kind of go into your backstory a bit and your origin, please tell the audience about what you have been doing to torture this poor lassie.
So this started, well, I don't know what day it started. I can tell you that there are currently 61 installments. And what it started with me, like we're right now, as probably many people are aware, there's not a whole lot to do. So to kind of stave off the boredom, I had a couple projects going at the time, but nothing too big or too involved. So I picked up and I started just kind of going to social media, and a couple of my friends had said, you should check out this new thing called TikTok. It's not new, but it's like the new like in vogue social media thing. So I started looking through videos, following profiles, doing what you do when you log on to a social media site for the first time. And I thought, oh, this is great. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with how TikTok works, you upload, it's kind of like Vine, if we remember Vine, another one that kind of went by the wayside. You get
remember
that. You basically get 60 seconds to upload whatever you want. And it's kind of like Instagram stories meets Twitter. You just keep scrolling and whatever pops up is what you see. Cool. And I thought, oh, great. This is a really great place to put on like quick little magic tricks. And they tanked. No one on TikTok wants to see magic. So I thought, okay, well, great. And then just the one day, there's this stupid, we'll call it a trick. I'll do it right now for you. We'll show you exactly what it is. I'm going to write down a word. All right. And it's a word that you are about to think of. All right.
Okay.
We're going to make it nice and big so it shows up nice and clear on camera. We're going to use an actual Sharpie rather than just a dead pen. So this is a word that you are about to think of. I am making a prediction and I'm going to influence you. And this is the word that you think you're going to freely choose. So I've written it here. All right. Now, do you have any idea what word is written on this card?
Are you asking me or the audience?
I'm asking you specifically.
I hate you already. No, I do not, Jeff.
No? Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you
know. No. It's a stupid gag.
And, I love it though. You know, I was getting, but did you not see me starting to flinch and
I could see you sweat a little.
I should have set boundaries for this episode. Do not mess with the host's head.
No mind reading.
This is a dark, dark place filled with stories.
So I did that to Hannah on camera. And like she has seen it a million times. She knows it's a gag that I pull every once in a while when I need a stupid laugh. But for some reason, it's always something that she just kind of forgets is a thing. So whenever I say, I've written something down, it's a word you're about to think of, she just kind of rolls her eyes and goes, okay, here we go. He's showing me another trick. Do you have any idea what I wrote down on this card? No. And I get her every time. So I filmed that and I put it on TikTok, and it got way more traction than any of the magic videos that I put up before. Yeah, because it was a stupid joke. So I thought, okay, you know what? Let's try this again. And then I just started to just turn to her one day with the camera on. Hey, Hannah. And I can't even remember what the first joke was that I told her, but it just blew up. It got like overnight. We went from, I think I went from about 200 followers on TikTok to 2,000.
Wow.
Just boom.
Okay. So let's just drop all the professional learning and skill set and just do stupid jokes then to make money. Is that basically the moral of this?
Oh yeah. Well, and like, I think I figured out why it's become a thing. I think I understand why right now it's so popular, because it's, no matter what social media website you go through, there's a lot of not so fun things going on.
Oh yeah, totally.
So if you're scrolling through TikTok, you're scrolling through Instagram, and you're seeing all these really heavy, societal or emotional or political posts, and you feel a little bit kind of done with it, and then all of a sudden some dickhead is holding a camera chasing his fiance. Hey Hannah, hey Hannah, hey Hannah. It's a little bit of laughter, and I think people are really identifying with that. This is a little bit of normal that we get to keep right now. And I think that's why it's resonating and so many people are enjoying it so much.
And that's a good thing. In a way, that is in fact, a mutual friend, Brooklyn. We know Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Troublemaker that she is. She's apparently saying that the dumb jokes for Hannah is what is getting her through the pandemic.
I have had so many people message and comment me and say some version of, life sucks right now. Like, things are hard, things are weird. We don't know when it's going to end. This is the one thing that's making me laugh. Like, this is the one thing that I look at every day.
You know what? That's good. That is a good thing, mate. That is a very beautiful thing. But we should we should try at least, right? So I think I explained to you in the tech chat yesterday that I have a list of questions, or I've developed, or shall we say, worked questions on my background of storytelling with kind of what I call the hero journey, which is just a very simple kind of progression of a story, but it also works for questions. And to date, out of the possible 10 to 12 questions, I've ever only got through 3. I'm not putting much money on us getting even that far today.
No, we've had what, 3 or 4 tangents since we've started.
We are 13 minutes in and we still haven't even hit the first and probably the most vital question, I feel, because really for people to understand who you are, they need your origin story.
Yeah.
And the reason I like this one is because everything you watch these days is origin stories. Your superhero movies, your superhero movies, your superhero movies.
Remakes,
Is there any other movies being made? I don't know. Anyway, origin stories are great. And I think it's amazing for you to tell viewers. I mean, here you are, you're a magician, you're a mentalist, you are a trickster, you are potentially verging on being single, maybe, depending if Hannah goes the wrong way. But what is your origin? I mean, what brought you to where you are now? How did it all begin?
To be honest, it was an accident. If you would have asked me 10 years ago where I see myself winding up and what I'm doing for a career, this wouldn't even have been on like the long list of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been something that if you would have told 2010 Jeff, this is what's going to happen, he would have laughed in your face and called you crazy. Yeah. So I guess kind of the original origin story, or I guess what kind of got me interested in magic in the first place, was I was about 6 or 7 years old, and we had just got cable TV at my house. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in Alberta. I grew up in the sticks in a small town that no one knows about. It's not the middle of nowhere, but you can see the middle of nowhere from my hometown. It's that kind of place. New Sarepta, Alberta.
Okay, you got me. Nope, never heard of it.
It's for those who are super interested in small Alberta towns, it's about 45 minutes to an hour southeast of Edmonton, about halfway between Edmonton and Camrose on Highway 21. It's this little prairie town. It was originally settled by Eastern European immigrants as an agricultural base. And right now, to be honest, it's actually not even really its own municipality anymore. It got absorbed into the Leduc County municipality, and it's there. It's still New Sarepta, but it's not run by itself anymore because it's shrinking. But I grew up there. Grew up on a farm there, and we got cable TV, and it wasn't like the cable TV like most people think of now. It was an antenna on our roof that was about 30 feet high. And then there was this cable box with a dial, and we would just click the dial to a different channel, and that's what we'd watch. And around the same time, there was something that came out called The World's Greatest Magic. And it was kind of this limited run series of the world's, at that time, greatest magicians, hosted by John Ritter. They would come on, do a 10-minute bit, and that was that. It was kind of like Penn and Teller's Fool Us without the reality TV component, and only about 5 or 10 episodes. So my little 6-year-old brain saw this and just went, and like the card tricks were cool. The song "The Ladies in Half" were fun. But there was this magician. He still performs today. His name is Max Maven. And if you look up Max Maven, he's this very, he's this very kind of like Mephistophelian, dark, brooding kind of man with this accentuated widow peak and this goatee and the hook in the eyebrow. And he speaks in these very monotone voices. I am Max Maven, and I am about to read your mind.
Okay,
and
I'm looking at images of him. Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really intense and super, like, just intimidating. So my little 6-year-old brain just locked in on this man as, you know what? He's going to tell me what to do, and I don't have a choice. And then he put up, I can't remember exactly which one it was, but there's a multitude of, I'm going to read your mind through the screen kind of tricks. And he puts one of them on the screen. Then he said, you put your finger here, follow these instructions. And as I'm moving around, the bits and pieces that I'm touching with my finger on the screen are disappearing, but they're never the one that's under my finger. And eventually he narrows it down, and it was the only one left. And my little head just exploded. From that moment on, I was hooked. Nice. And then, so then at that point, it was kind of the standard, like, kid magician story. You know, you get the magic kit for Christmas or for your birthday, you get into the tricks. And for most magicians, that's where it carries on. For me, that's where it took the detour. Around the same time, my parents got me really involved in baseball. There was a local kind of small town community league for little kids. And they got me hooked, and it was a way to get me out of the house because I was actually a really shy kid. I didn't like people. I didn't like seeing people. I didn't like leaving the house. You know, so they put me into sports to kind of be like, you need to learn how to be a social human being. Like, and then I took to that. I took to baseball like a fish to water, partially because I really enjoyed it, but also because I was good at it. And then for the next, decade and a half of my life, that became what I ate, what I breathed, what I slept. And it was the thing that I did. And I still had the interest in magic from a casual standpoint, where I'd learn, like, the one card trick that every uncle knows and show it to my friends. Oh, that was cool, whatever. But that was kind of the extent of it. I didn't think about theater, didn't think about performing. All I thought was athletics, baseball. That's what I was going to do.
Okay.
And then I started in grade 12. I suffered an eye injury, which made me partially blind in my right eye, which limited my playing ability. But I was still good enough to play for 3 years in a college program in Lethbridge. And then at the end of those 3 years, I had blown out my shoulder, have a nasty scar from surgery. And then all of a sudden, I had all of this free time. I went from spending 3 hours a day at the ball field, plus the road trips to play the games and the tournaments, and all of that just went gone. So now I had all of the spare time that I needed to fill. And it started with me just trying to find anything: video games, music, books, reading, writing, whatever. And then eventually, around the same time, it was kind of, the golden age of YouTube. So we started seeing a lot of, like, magic tutorials pop up, and a lot of, like, here's some crazy bar bet tricks that are fun that you can pull on your friends at the bar and score a free drink. And I found a few of those, and I learned a few of those, and I went out to the bar with my friends. And in the beginning, it was great because I'd say, hey, you guys want to play this fun little game? I'll bet you a drink. Yeah, okay, fine. And then I would beat the pants off of them. I would drink for free, and they'd all be pissed because now they're broke and they're not drunk. So after about
so
3
not
or 4,
using it for your own personal gain at all.
Not at all, no. But it did save a friend of mine. We were at a pub in Lethbridge called the Duke of Wellington. It's not there anymore, but it was my favorite place. And there was this guy who was just incessantly bothering her. And I told her, I says, I will give you enough time to get out of here if you don't want this guy to talk to you anymore. She's okay, fine, whatever. We want to get out of here anyway. So there's this bar bet where you basically, so I started befriending this guy, and she said, what are you doing? I said, just be patient. And there's this, it's not really a bar bet. It's more of a bar gotcha, where you position a person in such a way that you can pin their thumbs to the table with a drink. So you get them to put their thumbs flat on the table, and then you take a heavy pint glass that's full, something that you can't grab with your mouth, and you just rest it on top of your thumbs, and you say, okay, bye, and they're stuck there because they can't move their hands because they'll spill the drink. They can't pick it up with their mouth. They have to call for help. One of their buddies has to come remove it, and then they're free to go, which is just enough time for all of us to exit the bar. So it did come in handy, but for the most part, yes, I used it entirely for my own personal gain. But after a while, I started learning some more tricks, and I started to realize that there was kind of there's this other level underneath. You learn the tricks you find on YouTube, you learn the quick tutorials and the easy tricks, and there were a handful of videos that kind of gave this nod to there are more and bigger and better and deeper sources out there. And as soon as I found that, I latched onto it and I just took off. Around the same time, I was finishing a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology at the University of Lethbridge, and I was being asked continually about continuing on. I had done a couple independent studies there, and one of the professors that was cross-appointed between the neuroscience and the kin faculty got a huge grant to do some research, and I just happened to check all the boxes of the skill sets they needed. So for about a semester, are you going to do a master's degree? You should do a master's degree. Hey, what about a master's degree? And at this point, I was thinking, this is great. This will be the edge I need to get into a physiotherapy program down the road. Around this, and so while all this was going on, I was working a part-time job as a bartender with a catering company, and I started doing these magic tricks at the bar for tips, and I would bring home hundreds of dollars in tips at the end of the night because I was doing these magic tricks, and somebody would bring up someone to the bar and say, "Hey, that was really cool what you showed me 5 minutes ago. Show my friend." And I would always tell them, you know what? If you want to see something cooler, put a $5 bill in my jar, and I'll show you something else. And make it like I would make more than my hourly wage every night. And that's when I kind of went, there might be something to this. And I was working with a friend of mine there who was in the drama faculty. And just as I was about to graduate, and he says, a friend of mine, there's a student-run theater company that's part of the University of Lethbridge Dramatic Arts program. So there's the main theater program that they put on the 4 shows a year, but then there's the student-run one. It's kind of overseen by the staff, but it's basically operated by the students. And my friend said, a friend of mine wrote this show. Another friend of mine is directing it. There's a part in it that I think you would be perfect for. You should audition. And I said, are you nuts? I have never been on. The only stage experience I have at this point is being Julius the Elf in my grade 4 Christmas pageant. That's it.
A legendary role, I heard. I mean, the reviews were outstanding.
He was Santa's head chef, if I do say so myself.
Oh, that's well. I mean, that's what they said. Apparently, your chocolate cake was,
chocolate cake, chicken soup. I did it all. Yeah, Julius, wow. He was a master of everything. But I went in. Oh, there was ears and everything. It was insane. It was great for Christmas pageant.
You're taking us too far now.
But I went in and I auditioned.
Water.
we're not even at the insane part of the story yet.
Yeah, no, continue, please.
So I told him, I said, now he's telling me this on a I think it was a Saturday or Friday or Saturday night shift, and we're working a wedding or a late event. So I'm on the clock until at least 2 a.m. And I said, look, you know what? I'll think about it. Send me the script. I'll read it. If I like it, I'll think about it. So I get home, and he had gotten home just before I did, and he had sent me the script. So it was there waiting for me. I open up my laptop, I read the script, and I say, you know what? This isn't bad. I'll text him in the morning. I'll get the details. So the next morning I wake up and I text him. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to audition. What do I have to lose? And he says, great. I'll let him know you're coming. I said, when is the audition? He says, tonight at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. And I just went, what? He said, yeah. He says, tonight at 6 p.m. is when the audition starts. And I looked at my clock. It's 11 o'clock. I realized I have 7 hours to not only prepare for an audition, but the first audition I have ever done. So I panic and I say, what do I do? And he walks me through the process. Well, you need to find a monologue. Here's what they want for the audition, blah, 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 blah. Great, cool. And I walk in and I meet the director and the writer. And I was sitting in the hallway by myself because I don't know anyone in the drama faculty. I'm watching everyone else, pace around and sit and mumble their lines and rehearse their monologues. And I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Like, I'm going to go in there. Like, these people do this as like their schooling. This is what they are here to learn how to do. I am some schmuck who like I'm literally taking a degree in the science of lifting heavy things. And like, I'm here auditioning for a play and I've never even set foot on stage. The closest thing I have to performance experience is doing magic tricks at the bar. What am I doing here? And just as I'm about to get up and be like, you know what, this was dumb, I'm out of here. Jeff Newman, you're up. Great. Okay, walk in. Meet the director who was the roommate of my friend who set me up to do this in the first place. And we'd known of each other. I shook her hand. I said, I'm Jeff. You're Hannah. Nice to meet you. We've heard a lot about each other. And I do my audition. And she gave me redirects, and I felt like a putz, and I walked out of there going, I blew it. I just made an ass of myself. 3 days later, I get a call back, and 2 days after that, I am cast in the lead role.
Whoa,
and just
well done.
Bam. Yeah. And at that moment, I did the production. I got into theater, and at that point, I didn't look back. I said no to this master's degree that I kind of already half started. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do drama instead. I did a year of a dramatic arts degree at the University of Lethbridge. I started working as an admin with a theater company. And then a couple of years after that, I just said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this thing. And that was 2015. In 2015, I decided to take it full time. Up until that point, I had kind of done some part-time stuff here and there. Yeah. And it was kind of like the part-time job that slowly became the part-time job with full-time hours. And then in October of 2015, I said, you know what? I'm looking at my paycheck from my current job. I'm looking at the amount of money that I'm making and the amount of money I'm saying no to. What am I doing? And that was 2015, and I haven't looked back. It's been the full-time job since.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's the full story.
And that was an epic tale. The interjection of an elf was mesmerizing. What's really funny is I tried to do theatre once, as in acting, and discovered that I have, for a man that memorizes stories and literally walks on stage with no script, I cannot do scripts. Can't memorize them. I'm terrified of them. I can do storytelling, can't do scripts. But like you, first time I tried, I went in, did an audition, and got placed in 2 short plays, both happening in the same night. So I had to learn 2 parts. One was a kind of easier psychotic sat nav, and the other was Pan.
From like Shakespeare, like
they'd done an adaptation of Eros and Elite, and of course Pan being this huge narrative character. Oh, it was crazy. So I get you. I totally understand. Now, interesting enough, a little side note here. Carly actually is from Calum, and she drives by New Sarepta on her way to Edmonton when she goes to work.
Yep, she would have to.
When she's going that route, anyway.
Yep. Hello, all you Calum people listening.
And Chelsea's arrived late as well. She feels terrible. But don't worry, Chelsea, you're here. That's all that matters. So there is Jeff's origin story. Now, interestingly enough, a question came in quite early, but I'd left it until we had kind of covered your origin story. But you've kind of covered it because, I really should look at the names before I read. My wife... I kind of glanced at it, didn't register it's her. She diligently watches these. I think she's basically critiquing me all the time, like doing assessments and making sure, there'll be a knock at the door at some point, a letter handed through, must do better, C-. Just the usual. What she's actually asking, she's saying what you do sounds a lot like having a degree in sociology. So she was actually asking, you're studying, you're understanding human trends and behaviors, and she was wondering if you'd actually done any schooling in that field. But you've kind of answered that a wee bit.
Yeah, I get. Well, I have and I haven't. So when I did my Bachelor of Kinesiology, like most post-secondary institutions, there is that condition of you have your core courses, but you also have to take so many electives from different places and things. And it just so happened that in the very beginning of my degree, I was never great at chemistry. I liked physics, but I didn't want to deal with all the math. So one of the options that I had for the science fulfillment of my science degree was neuroscience. So I think I was only a class. By the time I was done, I took a neuroscience class. I enjoyed it. I was good at it. I had a really solid understanding of it. And by the time I was done, I think I was only a handful of courses away from being able to get a minor in neuroscience. But the two places the skill sets that I had, one was that I was really good with neuropsychology, understanding human behavior as it pertains to the human brain. Okay. So things like that were kind of in my wheelhouse. And there's multitudes of case studies, like, the one everyone points to is Tan, the person who had damage to the language centers in his brain. He could comprehend language, but the only word he could say was Tan. Not that he didn't know any, but that's all that came out because of the brain damage he had. Okay. There was other patients that were case study for many different things, and so on and so on. But I was really good at that. The other thing I was really good at on the neuroscience side of things was understanding sensory motor integration. So how we take in information and how our brain processes it and turns it into movement or reactionary movement, or how we perceive the world. And the couple independent studies that I did as an undergrad that kind of got the attention of some of the staff wanting me to do this master's degree pertained to that. And it was, oddly enough, I am actually an academically published author. I'm like 6th or 7th on the list of authors on that paper, but I am technically a published academic author.
And how was this not in my research? I mean,
that's how far whenever you see an academic reference that says, like Anderson, Dickinson, et al., I am the et al. I am the no one who cares. But it's I think I have two. I have one for sure in a journal called Work, which is basically about ergonomic assessments and workplace injuries and things like that. Where I did some data processing and some assistant researching, and I was a published author there. And then the one independent study I did wound up becoming the model for a control group in another experiment that happened in Ontario about how patterns and shapes on objects influence how you reach and grasp and pick them up. And that alone is something I could probably talk for an hour about and bore your audience half to death. But it's super fun, and that's what got me kind of involved with this. So my wheelhouse was kind of that neuroscience-y motor skill combination. And then the other thing that I also really enjoyed and I was quite good at was actually biomechanical analysis.
Okay.
So the physics of movement, so why and how, and a good chunk of my undergrad was spent using various types of cameras and equations to determine how big someone's grip aperture was, or how much torque they're generating in swinging a golf club, or how much force they're imparting on the ground when they jump, things like that.
Yeah, I'm sitting here just feeling like a dumbass. Okay, I'm just like, I once ate a peanut.
Imagine this conversation though. How's it going, Mom and Dad? Guess what? I'm going to stop doing a master's degree to perform magic tricks for.
When are you gonna get a real job, son? When are you going to get a real job?
To be honest, they have actually been super supportive. They have been
brilliant.
really, really supportive. And it's they, as I'm sure is understandable, most parents would be like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Like, but when they started seeing kind of the success that I was having, and that it was at the very least a viable part-time job, they kind of said, you know what, like maybe you invest a little time and effort into this. Maybe you try and turn this into something.
That's good. Yeah.
And you know, they were cautious, and they were very much you know, like, be sure that you're considering the downsides to this. But they've been really good about it. But it's, you know, my parents are farmers. They have not a great concept of what it's like to be in show business. So they're kind of just like, you think it's a good idea? Yep. Okay. You know what? We trust you. Go for it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Every parent is always a little dubious when their child goes into performance. It's all that sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh no, I am too old and too tired for sex, drugs, and rock. At best, it's like sleep, a glass of scotch, and maybe like soft jazz. That's what I get.
Oh. If you like jazz, you need to check out Baker's Dozen.
Oh, absolutely.
Johnny Summers, one of my previous guests.
All right, and of course the scotch. I'm sure you have plenty of recommendations for that as well.
Yes, I do like my single malts. Yes.
Oh yes.
Lately, now we're getting into subjects I can speak about, like neuroscience. I'm sitting here going, just try to look intelligent. And then, do you know what's going through my head? Because this show is becoming about just randomness. Every time I do this and take a sip, I'm making heavy eye contact with you, and all I'm thinking about is that scene in Deadpool when he puts on the lip gloss. But it's like, I don't want to do this because that's rude.
Well, see, that's where, like, I considered pouring myself a nice little glass of scotch to kind of aid in this. Then I realized we might get way off track if that's the case.
Yeah, well, you know, the sad thing is, I've said to a few guests, my drinking days are kind of coming to an end. I'm having a lot of allergic reactions to alcohol these days.
Yeah,
single malt is about the only thing I can drink.
I lately my favorite has been it's a Glen Moray. It's a Speyside Scotch. It's very smooth. It's not very aggressive. It's very light.
I find the Speyside's far too sweet.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm an island guy. I'm all about the peaty smoky ones.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you know, Speysides are okay, but they're just too sweet. I'm not a fan of the salty ones like Taliskers and all that. It's got to be a good island one. So I found a really nice one. If you're ever into your peaty smoky, try Ledaig from the Isle of Mull.
Yes,
heavenly.
Oh, I have had it. It is delicious. Yes. I'm not a huge fan of the peaky peaty smoky, but like there's a few that are good. There's that one. I don't mind. It's kind of the standard, but like the Bowmore. Is it Bowmore?
Yes.
Yeah, that one's not bad.
Colila is another one.
Which one?
Colila. Sounds like coal. ILE, Colila.
Okay. There was another one that someone sent me a link or a description that said this one might be right up here. It was kind of this teal colored bottle. I think it was called Brooklada or something like that.
I know the one you're talking about, and you've kind of got it right, but it's I can't quite picture the spelling to get the words out.
Yeah,
I know the one you're talking about though. Not bad. Anyway, all of a sudden, the whole conversation chain of comments has just turned into whiskey. We've got Lagavulin, we've got Lafroig, we've got Deadpool popping up.
Well, if you
soft
want
jazz and Scotch, someone's confused by that combination, but I kind of get it. I kind of get that one. Soft jazz and Scotch would work.
Yep,
yeah.
Listeners, if you want to throw me some Scotch recommendations.
That's it. You know, basically, forget this celebrity performer chat. It's just going to turn into a Scotch show where we aren't going to drink anything. We're just going to randomly mention names of whiskey. Just shout them out and see what comes back at us.
Just trouble. That's all it's going to be.
Oh, anyway. Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't even pronounce it because my head's not working right. Brugladich, something like that. It is the one you're talking about with the teal bottle. I remember it. And yeah, someone's just mentioned everyone's half cut. No, we're not. Have the cameras stopped working?
We are both stone sober.
Yeah, I know. I'm drinking out of a weird multicolored Starbucks cup.
Maybe it's the aspartame. This is not sponsored. Not sponsored. That's what this
careful,
is.
The host has no does not hold any
pixelated
views
box
associated with the guest. After we have literally just promoted half of the Scotch whiskey companies in Scotland.
Anyways, next question.
Yes. What's really funny is I haven't had many questions come through the stream. Mainly, it's just lots of like whiskey comments, which is really funny. I've never actually seen it explode in such an enthusiastic manner before.
It's such a polarizing subject. Like I have seen people argue about what is a decent, not even a good Scotch, but a decent Scotch.
Oh, I've drawn blood. Like I saw someone put ice in a whiskey once. I launched at them. No. I'm only joking. And I just want to say, it looks like we've got a viewer from Oz. No, Australia. I thought what time are they on? Are they not like in the middle of?
Depending on where in Australia, it's sometime in the morning.
Oh, fantastic! Well, hello to Oz. Yes, probably our furthest away viewer to date. Or not. I'm still confused of how the map works.
It's entirely possible it's somebody I know because I've done a couple shows in West. What's the name?
The name is Muddy Me. I don't know if that's the real name or if that's like a tag name they're using just to protect their identity because they might wear a cape and a mask. This is awesome. Okay, Jeff, we need to try and focus.
Yes.
11 a.m. Apparently, it's 11 a.m. in Oz.
Happy brunch.
Happy brunch. Yes. What day are we on? Thursday.
I don't know.
Or is it Friday? Oh, who knows?
They all blend together.
Timelines always confuse me. All I know is I'm 7 hours behind my normal lifestyle. But now that I've been here for so long, I forget. It doesn't impact me, but I get really annoyed when the UK is asleep when it shouldn't be in my mind. And it's Friday in Australia now.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
I'm on. I'm a hardcore night owl. Like my clock runs me like until 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning if it goes unchecked. And the only way I get straightened, the only time I have been straightened out to kind of match the rest of the daily, like the day rhythm, is when I have come back from Australia and I have the jet lag, which the combination of the jet lag and kind of my natural body clock puts me at like, go to bed at 10, wake up at 8. Like that's, it.
Nice. You see, I refuse to go to Australia because basically it's one of those countries that just tries to kill you. I mean, there is nothing. Like, I don't want to insult Australia. I've got a lot of good Australian friends, but I've told them this. It's like literally, it's the most dangerous place I have ever seen in my, like, there's snakes just coming out the toilet.
It's funny you should mention that because the very first time I went to Australia, you know Las Vegas, yes?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. The very first time I went to Australia, I stayed with Ross. And he like went to his place and I stayed with him, slept in his house. He took care of me. Ross, if you ever see this, thank you so much. And you're a gem and I miss you dearly. But while I was there, I had just landed. It's about 9 a.m. Western Australia time. And he's, given me the two, here's the bedroom, here's the bathroom, here's the, if you need this, here's the kitchen, here's what, this is how you get here. This is what you do there. And the whole time I'm, yeah. And finally, he's kind of like stops in his conversation. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm texting my friends and family back home. They all know I've landed now, and they're all sending me the don't get bitten by a spider, watch out for snakes thing that everyone says about Australia." And Ross just goes, he rolls his eyes and he sighs and he says, "You silly, silly Canadians. You can step on a spider. You can run from a snake. You guys have bears. It's just like instant perspective. Like, you know what?
No, bears are cuddly and cute. I mean, come on. You just want to run up to a bear and hug it. A snake? No.
That is one of my favorite Las Vegas stories ever. Just like, you can just see the disdain. It's just, you silly, silly Canadian.
I love it. I love it. Actually, Muddy's just saying, I now know how the connection is, and it's not to you, it's through me. It's through a gentleman I know in America.
Hello anyway.
Anyway, so Australia, terrifying. I've never been. I don't plan on going, although I've been invited a few times. So
you should.
There's a couple of really amazing storytelling festivals and folk festivals that have asked me a couple of times. But you know what? Snakes. No, evil, unnecessary. We should, after 47 minutes, actually try and get on to the second question.
Is this a record? Please tell me this is a record.
I think this is. I think we have actually, I'm pretty sure I normally get 2 questions in the first 30 to 40 minutes at least, maybe even earlier. So you have literally, I should note this down. Where are we? 47. Let's call it 48.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 49 before we actually get round to the question. 48. Longest first question. I'm actually doing this. This is going to get noted down. This is awesome. I love this. This is what I said to you, Jeff. This show is evolving into, it's more about the performer's personality now and the fun and just making people happy than actually discussing seriously the arts, because the arts can handle itself, I've discovered. Yeah. We're the ones that need to promote ourselves. The arts is there.
It's never going away. Apparently now everyone seems to think it's non-essential.
Oh, you said this yesterday. I hadn't read that article, but...
Yeah, I for those who are unfamiliar, there's been this article floating around, mostly on Facebook. I think I've seen it a couple times on Instagram, but it's primarily a Facebook thing.
Before you go any further, then I need to check: is it a founded, actually backed up article, or is it just the nonsense stuff that goes about?
I think at this point, because it's so shared, it's. I don't know if that's even relevant anymore.
Okay. No, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, because it's been shared so much that it's kind of the article may be bogus, but because I've seen it so many places on so many different pages that it has kind of become the public opinion anyway, the way I see it. And it's true. Yeah, but basically it's an article that some publication put out where they had surveyed so many people and they had said, what do you consider the most essential and the most non-essential jobs during this whole quarantine? And the number one job by 71% was artist. And it was just this nondescript artist. And it's like I said yesterday, I'm like, I don't think people, like, my hunch is that people who are not involved in the arts think of artist as like the guy with the beret and the really bad goatee painting on the riverside, right? Or yeah. But now those guys are also legitimate artists. I'm not poo-pooing on them either. But like,
apart from mime, we're still on the wall. Basically, we're still on the fence about mime. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I'm a magician. I'm only like one step above. Like I gotta be.
Come on, I'm a storyteller. We're pretty much scraping the bar. Mime is actually 3 levels above me.
We have to be careful because the mime will come kick our ass and we'll never hear him coming.
I know. He'll trap us in a box and we'll just be like, how do we get out of this box? Anyway, please continue.
Anyways, and it's a discussion I've had several times where, like, yes, an artist may seem non-essential, but like, think of how many people have binged Netflix. They've listened to music. They play on the apps on their phone that have graphic design. They use even something as basic or as kind of taken for granted of as, say, like a Windows desktop where all of the icons have been created. Yes, it may not be the artist that you're considering when you say non-essential, but those people have done something that you have come to rely on, and you may never consider it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of disheartening for people to devalue art so much, but have it so prevalent and interlaced in their lives, and they have no idea. And it kind of gives me this weird feeling of frustration, but also disappointment. But like it's a really strange interaction to have with yourself reading that.
It's a strange, I've encountered it throughout my career, and you have as well. There is this strange view that we are an anomaly.
Yeah.
People know we're there and they do need us. They just don't, well, I'll rephrase this, sorry. There's a good majority of people that know exactly what arts is, and they understand it and they love it and they support it. And I can see half a dozen names on my feed that are actually some of those people. But then there's this group of people that they do generally not understand what arts is. They don't think it's necessary. They think that their TV programs are just TV programs. They don't realize that those are artists, creators, writers, directors, actors. They listen to podcasts or music and they don't realize, no, they're actually artists creating.
Exactly.
It's weird that their brain doesn't quite process. You know about the brain, so you know what I'm talking about. But their brain's not kind of in that it's not programmed that way, and it makes it really weird.
And the kind of as an offshoot of that too, the funny thing that I always find also bizarre, people will spend thousands of dollars and go drive for hours to see I don't know, U2 or some other, like a big band, Britney Spears.
Your grasp on pop culture is outstanding, Jeff.
You see what's behind me? That's it. That's where my interests lie.
Oh, Big Hero, Zelda.
Yeah, Big Hero 6, Legend of Zelda. I've got a classic car print and some like random puzzle paraphernalia just over my shoulder here. That's it.
Hey, I'm in a padded cell. You win.
But people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or fly or drive to see these kind of pop culture megastars, your Taylor Swift and your Britney Spears and what have you. And what a lot of people always seem to forget is that before Katy Perry was Katy Perry, she was doing the pub tour, singing in a corner with a bad mic and an acoustic guitar that she can't plug in because they don't have an amp for it. Those artists they all start from the same place. One of my idols, one of the performers that I look at as kind of the thing to aspire to be, is a guy by the name of Darren Brown. Probably more. Yeah. His origin story is that he was doing walk around magic at a restaurant until someone flagged him and said, you know what? You're kind of, the England's answer to David Blaine. Let's put you on TV and see what happens. But he was, up until that point, he was doing magic for a living. He was just a guy doing card tricks at a table at a restaurant a few nights a week, making money, doing a couple stage shows and doing college hypnosis shows. And then all of a sudden he just went, poof. But he started there.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that that's how everyone starts in the arts.
Yeah, that's so true. And a couple of comments coming in as well saying, they would actually go out their way for, good comedy stories, magic, things like that. So this is why I like the people that watch these feeds, because, there are people that appreciate the fact that we have now gone 55 minutes, 18 seconds with one question.
We can do it.
This is going to be a hard record to beat, Jeff. 55-30. Okay, so second question.
Here we go.
You've spoken about education. Mm-hmm. You've spoken about learning, but that was in, let's call, your previous life, which still exists and is helping you. When you moved into magic, when you moved into mentalism, most people have taken on a mentor. They've taken on someone to learn from. As I mentioned, mine, I don't know if he is still watching, but he made a comment at the beginning. This is a gentleman that helped me. He is responsible for this. I don't know if I should say that because I might end up a witch hunt, and he's such a lovely man. But he has helped develop me, and he's been a constant in my life for all these years. Have you had a mentor? Have you had somebody who has helped you develop? And are they still in your life? Have they moved on from your life?
Sort of. So I didn't have a one mentor kind of thing. When I started, I took a very academic. When I started getting into this seriously, because at the time I was basically a year or two out of academia as it is. So I took a very academic approach. I bought the books, I did the reading, I did the learning. But what I started doing, so I was learning and adapting and adding to my toolbox, so to speak.
Yeah.
And around the same time, Hannah was still there. For those who were tuning in at the beginning of this, the director Hannah that I referenced in my very first play is now my fiance. And that's how
he tortures daily with
she's
bad
also
jokes.
the dumb jokes for Hannah. But she has kind of like, I am the face on stage doing the magic. She is basically everything else. She directs, she's stage managing, you know, she's very much like, she's not on stage, but she's very much involved in the show. And all of our productions, all of our performances have been a collaborative effort. So wonderful. She has been there to help design. And the reason why it works so well is because she came to this with she has a magic background now. She understands how things work. She knows the names. She understands the principles.
Have you tried to saw in half yet?
No, I don't want that kind of bad mojo. That's just a bad idea.
Just out of curiosity, just thought I'd ask.
No, honey, trust me. I promise it's not that sharp. You'll be fine. Like it's.
I'm actually loving this. I like the fact that, you know, you are a couple, but you're also working together. But she's the kind of mastermind behind your talent.
Yeah,
and I'm very jealous of that as well, because from doing everything myself, I can understand how that must be quite liberating.
Yeah, well, it's really good to have someone because we mesh on a personal level as well. It really helps solidify what my stage persona was. And she now has, when I come to her and say, hey, I want to add this to a show, I want to build something around this, she goes, that's not going to work for you. Like, this is not going to be something you're going to be able to pull off. And she has that implicit understanding of that. But because she also came from a theater background first, instead of a magic background first, she understands the blocking, the lighting, how do we present this in a theatrical way? How do we write this that it's interesting? And since then, we've kind of come together in the middle, and we're both kind of a mishmash of all of those. But in the beginning, we have definitely butted heads. And to be honest, there's a lot of times we still do.
It's normal. You've got to. It keeps it fruity.
Let's follow it up with a dumb joke, and we're all good to go.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to have to ask a personal question.
Yep.
Have you finished one of the dumb jokes and she's literally slapped you?
Not even close. No. The worst I get right now is like the stare that just.
Oh, and she's good at that. Oh, that's
yeah.
When I saw that, I immediately thought of my wife and went, wow, it's just obviously a thing that our partners develop when they tolerate us and our nonsense and stupidity.
And I've had comments being like, how are you still together? How has she not slapped you? I think the latest one I put up, she had a Nerf gun hiding underneath the coffee table. And that was her revenge. She just unloaded this thing on me. So like she gets her jabs in when she wants.
This is great. This is, you know, I love the fact that you can play that. You can see that in the wee videos that you do. You know, some of them you can tell she's just trying not to laugh. She's trying to hold that poise to not give you the satisfaction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it is now. Yeah. Now it's the game. It's not the oh, you have a dumb ha ha ha. Now it's the son of a bitch, you got me. Like,
yeah,
you know,
I love it. Yeah, and it's I really enjoy watching them when they're on, because it does show that nice connection. And as I say, I definitely got a jealousy, because it's nice that you have someone you can do that with. I say my wife's great. Like you mentioned something about the personality. My wife, Krista, she does that for me. She can't help me with certain aspects of my business, but if I take an idea to her, she'll quite often just mull it over and then give me a little kind of like, yes, no, or remember you're Scottish and just work with your strengths type of comment. So I love it. And I like the fact that you've actually got that wee bit add-on where you've got the theatrical background to help you with the stage work.
Well, and that was, and originally when we first started kind of doing this, we kind of had an idea of the style of show we wanted to present. We in the very, very beginning, we had a loose idea of what the persona was going to be. But I heard, so online, there's a guy by the name of Brian Brushwood. He's an American magician. He's based out of Austin, Texas. He runs several different web series on YouTube that have things to do with magic or magic adjacent things. But he does a lot. But his whole philosophy was, if I teach magic and we basically outsource it to everybody, and not necessarily expose it and be like, this is how magic works, it's dumb, but say, here's why and how it works, here's how you can do it. If we outsource magic, that only benefits the art, because now you have this massive conduit via the internet to not only teach people, but now they can take it, they can tweak it, they can make it their own, they can add, they can change, they can create, and then it comes back, and we all benefit from this. So for years, again, since kind of the beginning of like the internet as it is now, with online video and streaming services and things like that, he was creating little short snippets and things where he would teach things and talk about what it was like to be a performer. And early on, one of the best pieces of advice that I got from that, now this is a man I've never met, but I guess you could consider him a distant, like a socially distant mentor. The one thing that he had said in a video a long time ago was, when you're creating your act, it's good to know what you like. It's really good to know what you like, because that's going to be what you build your act around. But it's more important to know what you don't like, because that means you can watch it, you can see it, and you can say, that will never be in my show. That is something that I will never do. And that is what will actually make you better. Case in point, and this is a hot, controversial topic amongst magicians, and I'm probably going to start a fight with other magicians that we both know. There is an effect called the vanishing bandana. I personally don't like it. It's a fine effect. It's a comedy routine. Many people do it, and they do it well. I don't like it. And because of that, it will never be in my act. However, the reason why it's not in my act and the reason why I don't like it is because it doesn't fit my persona. It's something that I don't like. And because of that, even if I put it in my show, it would feel so strange that it would not play as well as it would in the hands of someone who it's suited for. So knowing that,
I know the trick you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky. I lived with a few magicians over the years in Edinburgh.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of happened to notice a few tricks, which was always fun. And yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
But yeah, that's kind of how I structured my act, and I looked at kind of the magic idols of the time, the Darren Browns and the Penn and Tellers and the David Blaines, and basically when I kind of created who I was, I looked at them and said, okay, what do I like? What don't I like? Great.
Yeah.
How does that mesh with my personality and the set list that I want to build? And it all kind of grew from there. And out of that, we have created a lot of really original stuff. We've created what I think is a really deep stage persona that we can lean into. And the Hannah describes it the best. I can't remember exactly how she describes it. But I am the goofiest, smartest man in the room is how the persona comes off on stage.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I do.
So like
that's a really interesting kind of selling and marketing point.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it's evolved. And like, I come out in my 3-piece suit and I look all dapper, and then I crack a dick joke and I go back into knowing exactly what's going to happen for the next 40 minutes.
You just lowered the tone, man, but we're getting really highbrow, and you just I like it.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, though. It's I think you can tell when a performer is using material they're not comfortable or passionate about, and you can see it in every field. It's a very valid point you've made. In every performance field, it's incredibly important that you just do what makes you tingly, what raises the hairs in your back of your head if you've got any, and things like that. Just, because if you don't, it's going to come off just dry or without any passion, and you'll lose your audience.
Exactly. Well, and it's about being able to know what fits you, fit your material to your persona. Because if you try and do something out of like, I try and think of an example, but I can't. I'm trying to think of like two extremes. I guess it would be kind of it'd kind of be like watching like someone like Gerard Harris try and do like a living statue. It's just Yeah.
So,
Gerard, if you're listening, we love you.
An example from my own life. Yeah. I love Japanese folk tales. I tried to tell them and they fell flat because of the rhythm and the use of their language and the meanings behind them didn't come off with what I do. But I love them, but I can't tell them. So it's always trying to find that what fits and knowing your limitations.
Exactly.
And Gerard Harris probably could do a human statue, by the way.
He probably could. Another wonderful human being that I miss dearly.
He's going to be on at some point.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited.
Downside to Gerard, it's probably going to be a pre-recorded show.
Oh, no.
Which is, I'm kind of, the reason I'm trying to do all these live and work within people's time limits, time zones, is because I like this. For most performers, this is how we do it. So it means that we can't, there's no takesy backsy, you know? If we do something wrong, it's there. We did it. And it's like live. But Gerard, who is such a good live performer, we're probably going to have to pre-record it, which I'm worried about because I just don't know if it will have that same, I think the conversation will have the oomph, but we just won't have that interaction from the audience, which I think helps, which means the Gerard conversation might actually get by 2 questions.
Well, he's like his stream of consciousness is just so fast. Like I barely can keep up with him at the best of times. Did I ever tell you, speaking of Gerard Harris, he has a superpower.
Okay.
He's probably going to hear this and he's probably going to say that I'm full of shit, but this is 100% true. Gerard Harris, every time I have drank with that man, whether it's a house party or just like sitting having a drink on a patio or whatever, he picks up a couple $20 bills and goes to a liquor store and he just buys whatever catches his attention. He has no idea what's inside. He kind of knows what he likes, so he just picks a bottle up and he brings it home and he plunks it on the table and he says, I don't know if this is going to be any good or not, but you know what? We're going to drink it anyway. He cracks the lid off. He pours you a drink and it's whatever it is the best thing you've ever had. And it's flawless.
Now, you say superpower. In the UK, we call that alcoholic or everyday drinking.
Fair enough.
Basically, you don't get Gerard. Gosh, I mean, Gerard are in the same age bracket. I think he's a bit younger than me. And we didn't have the variety. Like, see, when I came over here and went into a liquor store, I was like, oh my, it was like, what is this magical kingdom I have entered? Because back home, you walk into a dingy wee shop with a cage.
Yeah.
Well, not so much anymore, but it used to be you'd walk up to the cage and have to order through. But you literally got Tennent's Lager, Budweiser, Foster's, McEwen's, Kestrel, and White and Mackay. And Mad Dog 2020.
Oh, Lord. No. But yeah, that's
Brooklyn saying she can vouch for Gerard's superpower.
It's
so,
true.
ladies and gentlemen, here is a scoop for you. At some point, we will have our first superhero on the show.
Yeah, you're going to ask him about that. He's going to have no idea what you're going to talk about. I'll message him and be like, "Hey, heads up, this is coming."
This is coming. And Gerard, you know what? I love Gerard, but I just know it's going to be a random conversation. I mean, from the conversations we had during the Fringe, it's going to be random.
Oh, speaking of questions, what are we at? We've
actually got 2 done. We're doing really well. We're at 1 hour and 10 minutes. How are you for time?
I have all night.
3 a.m. Okay, folks, you heard it. We're doing it. We're not. No.
It's a marathon broadcast of a Scotsman Talks to.
And I'm loving that my good friend and mentor basically saying, "Don't blame me." Wow, you're cut. No, you're not. No, you're
throws
not.
you under the bus.
Oh, totally. No. It's like every mentor. They help, they guide. They can't be responsible for the manic craziness that appears.
I birthed you. Now it's your own fault.
Yeah, the rest is up. How you develop your soul is basically how it goes. Oh, yeah, my wife's just basically said she will piano behind us if we try to do it all night. She's got a piano.
I was going to say, she's going to play us off like it's the Oscars.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny is the dog, Hamish, studio dog, has been playing outside the studio and sniffing at the door because he gets right affronted that I don't let him into the studio when I'm doing these. Because he snores.
Oh,
he's adorable.
That's adorable.
But this place, you might not be able to notice, but you might see how I'm getting redder as the night goes on. That's not just the fun. That's because this is an airtight studio. Yeah. And I have how many lights? 5, as I was telling you. And it gets a bit warm in here. It starts to heat up as the night progresses, which is...
This room that I'm in is the same. Every time I got to crack a window, it gets so hot and humid just in this room, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh, fellow magician, Lothar, has popped on.
Oh, hello, Lothar.
Do you know Lothar? Have you ever met Lothar?
We've never met, but I have heard of him.
Oh, yes. He's a very wizardly looking gentleman. I've worked with him quite a lot of times. He's an absolute joy and delight. I'm just saying that because his wife's nicer.
You got it. That's the ticket in. If the wife likes you.
Oh no, his wife's an absolute joy. She's lovely. We all we do a lot of festivals and we all end up meeting each other and just chilling. Oh, sorry. I'm just reading the comments. He's laughing at me now. Anyway, we should move on. We have literally turned this into a weird social. This was supposed to be like coffee. We've turned it into beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally two performers sit and have coffee. No, we went straight to the hard stuff and then just lost focus on the world.
That's the best way to do it, though.
I know. I'm enjoying this. I knew this would be a good one after our chat yesterday.
See, but now the problem is I'm curious. What are the next questions?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, right. Okay. So the next one I always ask is, we have to go to the dark side next.
Okay.
So, we've all had trials, tribulations, and failures. Mm-hmm. Has there actually been a big failure in, while you've been doing this, that's maybe even made you almost say, I'm done?
To be honest, lots. There have been so many. And I think every performer out there knows this feeling where... sometimes it's a little thing like, oh man, I have to do a noon show on a Tuesday and a midnight the night before. Like, oh, this sucks. This schedule, there's the little things you're like, oh, this is, if I'd be selling sheets at Bed Bath and Beyond right now, I'd at least get 8 hours of sleep. But then there's also the big career diminishing, holy crap, I just spent $1,000 and something to travel to a festival and I've sold 0 tickets. Or you get the shitty reviews that just crush you. Who
is the Edmonton shittiest review? Oh, Gordon Kent. And I'm not afraid to say it on this show.
I can feel the anger right now.
Oh, the man that works for the municipal department and hates theatre. Come on, we all know him. Mr. 2.5 for every show.
Everything.
Oh God, I need to get over this. I need to get over
just the steam. If you're not watching, you can see steam out of the ears. But there's been a lot, and I've had it's been everything from shows flopping to bad reviews. I would say kind of my lowest of the low that I have been was I was probably right after kind of the festival season was over in 2017. It was the year from hell. We started in
sorry, someone has just said, is that Kent with a U?
Yes.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Jeff, but that was just too good. That was just sublime.
Exactly, yep, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect.
Please continue. Sorry.
That is the best way to sum up that. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Anyways, 2017 was probably the roughest year because it was, like I said, it was the year from hell. It was, we started the tour with a festival that tanked, not just for us, but for everybody. No one was able to bounce back from it. I thought I'd be able to recoup it in Winnipeg, and I couldn't because we were there just by circumstance. We were in a not great venue. We were competing against a lot of other Magic shows that year. We were there with a show that's a little bit different from our usual fare, so we couldn't really kind of bounce back.
Yeah.
And it just kind of kept compounding in every little thing. And by the end of it, I was dead broke. Like we had broke even basically. But like we had broke even over 4 festivals, or 2 of which were Winnipeg and Edmonton. So like,
wow. What year was this again?
This was 2017.
Oh, this was the. No, wait a minute. That wasn't the smoke one, was it?
Yes,
it was the smoke.
No, that was the year before. The smoke one was 2018.
Because I can't remember. I did Edmonton, and then I didn't do it for a year, or did I? I can't remember. No, yeah. I did it. Yeah, you're right. The second year I did it, 2017, tickets were down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a year. And by the end of it, we had kind of just said, like, I have some corporate, Christmas is always good. Like, I guess, but like, holy crap, I'm going to have to find something. And then kind of on top of it all, we had just moved to Calgary. And kind of finally had like settled in. We didn't know anybody. We didn't have any place to go. So it was kind of this weird, desolate pocket where work wasn't going great. I was in a city that I wasn't super familiar with. I didn't know anybody here. And it was kind of just this weird, dip. And that was probably the worst it got emotionally for me. It was like, okay, like now we're in trouble here. Now I think we need to let this go. Like,
yeah.
But that year, I'd done the Perth Fringe Festival in January of 2017 that year, and I'd done well, and I was going back in 2018, and that was kind of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Nice.
And then when I went there, January of 2018 in Perth, also kind of had this thing where they didn't market the festival right, and basically a whole bunch of factors basically caused the festival to also tank, and a lot of performers couldn't sell tickets. They lost their shirt. I think before the festival even started, I think something like 60 shows canceled their runs because they weren't selling tickets.
Yeah.
And that this whole thing in itself is a long story, but I managed to squeak out a profit there. And it was enough to kind of get me back on my feet and get started and start thinking positively about this career choice again. But that was also the year that one of the main venues in Perth went belly up, lost a bunch of money, and they paid out their contractors before they paid out their artists. So a bunch of artists made nothing. They did runs of shows and they got paid zero. And I had, before all this started, dropped a contract with that venue to work with another one. So I missed this bullet. And at that point I said, okay, this is your turnaround point. You've been through the worst of it. You managed to dodge this huge bullet. If you would have stuck with this other venue, it would have buried you and you have never been able to do this again. But right now you have basically been given a second chance. Run with it. And then in 2018 and 2019, we're back to back the 2 best years I'd ever had.
Nice.
And so like it was, that low point was the springboard and the motivator to get me back. The other thing that Hannah suggested, and actually has become the sanity, is around the same time, because it's, as you know, it's a make hay when the sun shines kind of industry.
Here especially.
Yeah, this year especially, you have your busy times, and then you have your not busy times, and sometimes that can span for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So Hannah said, why don't you go volunteer at an animal shelter, go get a part-time job, go get something that gets you out of the house and allows you to kind of just shut off for a few hours a week. And I managed to, a friend of mine was managing an escape room company in Calgary, and they were looking for a key holder for about 15 to 20 hours a week. And we had a bunch of people in our apartment, and Hannah and I have been having this discussion for a while, and we're having a party. There's 6 people in our apartment, and we're having a good time. And she opens up her phone because she gets a notification, and she sees this posting for this job, and she just looks at me in the middle of a conversation and interrupts everybody and just says, "Look at this." Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. So that has kind of become like the sanity anchor for me.
Yeah.
And it's it's something I enjoy. It's the people I work with are great. It's not super like I can commit as much or as little time as I want, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at the very end of the day, the main reason why I have and still have that job is because it's that little anchor point of life outside of everything else.
Yeah.
Where for 6 hours on a Thursday night, I can shut everything off, go over there and just forget about everything for a little while. And that has been the other kind of thing that has helped kind of bring me out of those bad points. No matter how bad it is, I have a place that I can go just leave it alone for a while.
Nice. Always good to have. I realized today, before I came on, I had sat here for about something like 4 or 5 hours solid without moving, working on my laptop. And then I went to move and realized I couldn't. I was like, I'm a terrible one for forgetting and losing time.
So am I. I can fall down a rabbit hole and just lose track.
Yeah. But this is my life. I mean, I love the fact that you've got that little bit extra you can take out and just kind of, get your mind away from it, because that's one thing I find I can't do. And I get criticized for it a lot. Yeah. I am constantly work, mind focused, orientated. Conversations always come back round to me. I don't know, maybe it's the ego, who knows, and
it's external,
us performers,
us drama queen, us divas.
I'm a theatre dame to the drama queen world. Okay.
We're gonna have to get you a crown and a sash next time I see you.
Oh yes, I feather boas, tiara. When it comes to drama queening, oh yes. Yeah.
That's your next show, the Scottish drama dame.
I can't. One of our other colleagues does a very similar show to that. I wouldn't do that. Admittedly, I have the genuine accent, but
either way, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so we're now coming to like 23 minutes past the hour. So 1 hour, 23 minutes. We got 3 questions in. You are still holding the record here.
I love it.
For the first and second question, you've pretty much destroyed it. I don't think this is going to be a new competition on this show now. Who can beat Jeff? And I don't physically mean coming to your house.
If that's a reason I'm...
Yeah.
If they want to try and beat it, by all means. But like, if this is any evidence at all, I can talk until the sun comes up.
And we could quite easily go on all night, but I'm not going to do that to you. And the threat that was laid down to me, I know I have a beautiful wife that's going for her piano gradings, and she needs to practice, and we also need to live a life, don't we, guys? I can't keep all these wonderful viewers here all night. Okay, you know what? I think we should move on to the quick fire round.
All right.
Let's do the 10 silly questions, and let's wrap this up. As much as I am having so much fun chatting, have we actually covered anything meaningful tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Artists have low points. People don't understand how much art is in the world around them.
We're very focused, and we keep a good, a good what's the word? Tangent going.
And sometimes you wind up where you don't think you should, but it winds up being the place you're rightful to be in the first place. There we go.
See. Glad you remembered all that. All I've done is laugh.
It's been an hour and a half. There's a lot of we talked about a lot, and there are plenty of good Scotch whiskies.
Yes, yeah. The Scotch whiskies seems to be a constant that comes up. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. You ready for this?
Rapid fire. Let's do this.
Here we go. Which is the right way to hang the toilet roll?
Under. I am an under person.
What witchcraft and devilry do you speak, man? You're actually my first guest to say that. So now there's a second one that they've got to be, because everyone's over.
Hannah's over, but it's not worth having the fight.
So how do you get around that then? You just go with her?
Yeah, I just I go with the role.
Again, I need the button. Dum-dum. Oh, I need to get one of those devices, a sound device, to add really bad sound effects.
Hannah just texted me.
You're an
over is the
underboy.
right way, you monster.
Oh, yes. What was that?
Hannah just texted me. I guess she heard me answer. She says, over is the right way, you monster.
You know what? There's probably a minute. Let me just check the feed. No, you're wrong, apparently. Basically, everyone's just saying you're wrong. You are a monster. You have now.
I guess so. Yeah.
You're put on the same level as some of the most atrocious people on the planet.
Yep. Well, now they know. The secret is out.
That's it. You're not getting a statue. That's all we're saying.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. What would your superpower be, and would you use it for good or evil?
My superpower would be telepathy, and I would use it to my own advantage and perform. I would likely be your chaotic good alignment.
I knew you were going to use it for evil. I just knew. You're the second guest to say evil. Everyone's been really nice. And they're like, oh no, I'd use it for good. And I'm sitting here going, yeah.
No.
Telepathy. I like it. Yeah. Use it for evil, man. That's it.
You'd always know. You'd always know things.
That's it. You could be a right card shark. I love it.
Yep.
Okay. How do you feel about garden gnomes?
Love them. They're adorable and mysterious and magical. I tried to steal one in my youth, which is another story. If I tell that story, we'll be here for another 4 hours. But yes, Short version, it was bolted to the ground. We didn't realize it until we tried to run away. We got caught. That's the short version.
Did you not try and pick it up first? Or?
No, because the thing was, it was a garden gnome, but it was 4 feet high. And it looked like something out of an old 50s Disney cartoon. And we would drive by it, and it was right in front of the house. So we couldn't inconspicuously go test it out. So we had arranged a snatch and grab team with our church youth group as the roster of players to try and steal this lawn gnome. And when we got there and we tried to pull this thing out of the ground, we realized it was welded onto a 3-inch pipe that was sunk into the ground with a cement anchor. This thing wasn't going anywhere.
Oh.
And we found out too late, and we got caught. We managed to make a getaway, but they saw us. They knew who we were. In a town of 10, there's only so many people. Around the same, but it didn't stop us from trying again. But that's a whole other story.
This time we went back with tools, chainsaw.
Someday when we have more time, I will tell you the whole story because it is absolutely hilarious.
That sounds like a beer session.
It really is.
I love it. What's the worst job you've ever done?
I can't say.
Okay.
Yeah. Those who know me well enough to kind of know my backstory, they know what job it was. But I can't say that one publicly.
No, that's fine. I respect that. Yes. Okay. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Because it was having an existential crisis and it needed to experience the thrill of near death.
A very intelligent answer. I like that. Most people go with their profession. Everyone's literally answered, it wanted to go to a concert. It wanted to go see a theater show. I like yours.
I think we got a real peek into the psyche of Jeff Newman right there.
That's okay. You lost as soon as you were a monster with the toilet roll.
Yeah.
You have no idea how much people have turned on you.
I was going to say, the audience checked out right there.
Yeah. I mean, literally, they have turned on. They have put you in, I'm not even going to say. I'm not even going to say the words. Awful. Eggs. Oh, gee. Sorry, somebody's. Yes. Oh, where were we? Who would play you in a biopic of your life? Who should play you in a biopic of your life?
Someone handsome.
Well, suspension of disbelief is allowed in this show.
Exactly. Funnily enough, the show that I got my very first break in, where Hannah cast me in my very first ever role, the critic who came and reviewed it compared me to a young and charismatic Nicolas Cage, which everyone was like, "Oh, good for you." And as they were discussing, "Oh, that sounds great," they turned to me and they said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "I hate Nicolas Cage. That is terrible. Why would he say that?" So maybe Nicolas Cage.
Just go with it, yeah. And I mean, if you I want lots of loud noises and weird facial expressions, yeah, and bad hair,
bad accents, bad everything, really.
God. I used to love Nicolas Cage movies when I was younger, and then I grew up.
Right? How can we not forget that instant classic Ghost Rider? Ooh.
Oh, how to kill a classic Marvel character off so quickly.
So bad. Anyways.
No. There's a whole new conversation topic. Okay. Pineapple in your pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely.
See, you're winning points back here. Yeah, pineapple pizza on your pizza with black olives. Divine.
The best combination for pizza I have found is pineapples, jalapeno, and chicken.
Sweet and spicy.
Yeah.
See, I like sweet and salty, but sweet and spicy would work as well.
Oh yeah, you get the salt from the cheese and the chicken. Perfect.
I like it. Well done. Okay, there's a new recommendation. I'm just checking what the comments are that are flying in. Okay. You're stuck in an elevator with one person. Who is it?
The elevator repairman.
You know what? Everyone else has said something. That's actually an incredible from you. That's actually a really sensible answer. You
right?
Yeah. I mean, you've actually. I'm now going to have to take that off. Now you've ruined that question. You're destroying things, Jeff. No, everyone else will say Gandhi or someone else.
Okay. We can go. Darren Brown.
Okay, interesting one. Yep. Now, would that be to fight him and take his power?
I guess it would depend how the conversation goes.
Would that be like a Gandalf and Saruman? Oh, I'm confusing my two wizards and evil characters now. That epic kind of wizard fight, staffs and
there would be sparks and weapons and broken glass. It would be intense, but it would be very polite because he's British and I'm Canadian.
That's love it. I'm going to get hell when I leave this booth because my wife is a huge Lord of the Rings fan or Tolkien fan, and me getting that wrong is going to cause hell tonight.
Tell her it's my fault.
Oh, it is your fault. It's all your fault. You're just... What's your favorite kitchen utensil and why?
Oh, I have a 7-inch Santoku knife. That is the best thing ever. It is the best thing for slicing bread. It's not really, but it's a bad pun that I failed on. But what
else can you do with this knife that makes it the best thing? Give me an example of its uses.
It is the perfect utility knife that you will ever have. It will cut, it'll chop. You can use it to like finely dice like vegetables. You can take apart a rack of lamb. You can. I made pulled pork yesterday, and I used it to chop up my 8.5-inch or 8.5 pound pork shoulder. It's sturdy, it's wonderful, it's a multitasker, it is the best thing, and it's probably the one thing that if somebody's like, you have to take away your kitchen stuff, that's the one thing I would fight them for.
Okay, but can you stir porridge with it?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's okay then. That's as long as it's got that multi-functionality.
Oh yeah.
Okay, where are we? Super blah, blah, blah. I've lost. Oh, which musical artist is your guilty pleasure?
Oh. Ooh. Lately, it's been ABBA.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
ABBA's good. I'm a big Barry Manilow fan.
Okay. All right.
You know, I mean, apparently my guiltiest one was saying I'd listened to Nickelback at one point.
Ooh. I do have Stacy's mom on my current playlist from Fountains of Wayne. So maybe that counts.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. Who was it? Frank D'Ambrosia came up with a cracking one. He said his one was French rap.
Oh my.
So Frank, if you don't know, is the Phantom of the Opera, longest running Phantom of the Opera. He was in the Godfather movies. This is a man, he's done so many things. And when he said French rap, you could literally see all the comments just pause for a moment and go, What? But French rap, apparently.
I can't even imagine what that sounds. I'm going to have to look that up.
I still haven't checked it out, but that's because of the Scottish-French issue. We've still never forgiven them. Anyway. Okay, go to play first. Okay, last question.
Here we go.
You're about to get into a fight. What is the theme music that plays in your head?
Can I also answer ABBA?
Which song?
Oh, Dancing Queen.
I can see that. Certainly a much more limber fighting style, a lot more flamboyant and twisty.
Fluid.
Yes.
If the fight lasts longer than like the 3.5 minutes, we could move into something like, does your mama know, or something like that. Like that's a good like follow up.
Yeah, that's good. I like where you're going with this. Kind of keep it easy, keep it kind of mellow, put them off their beat.
Exactly. If I'm losing, SOS.
Wow, you really have been listening to ABBA. Wow. I don't know how to follow that up. I'm impressed by, it's like you really thought that through without knowing what I was going to ask you. So I'm kind of impressed by this. Okay, Jeff, we're about to hit the 1 hour, 40-minute mark.
Yeah, that's...
You might actually be about to take the longest episode record as well, which was Johnny Summers at 1 hour, 43 minutes.
Well, you know what that means? Now we have to.
We do. You're with us, folks. You've seen this through to the end. This chaotic madness that is ensued on this show. Okay, I just went Sean Connery. Ensued on this show there. Yeah, it's a very strange shitty. I can't do accents because I'm Scottish, so I can't even do a Scottish accent. That's the worst thing about being Scottish. We cannot do accents. We can't even imitate our own accents.
And there's so many different ones.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every 2 feet, you meet a different one. But Sean Connery has the weird... Nobody in Scotland speaks like Sean Connery.
I've never understood that. Like, I don't understand where that dialect comes from.
I think he may have a mild speech impediment or something. But I wouldn't say that to his face, because even as an old man, he'd probably leather me.
He's James Bond.
But he was a weightlifter. He was a bodybuilder in his youth.
Well, if you ever get in a fight with Sean Connery, I will be there with a boombox and the ABBA greatest hits ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just to watch me get my ass whipped by an old man. And I will take it. I'll basically be like, Sir Sean, I'm just going to, just do your worst, mate. I deserve it.
That would be one of the few fights that you would lose, and you would still feel by losing that fight to Sean Connery, you would become more manly.
Oh, yeah. You'd just be like, yeah, I lost the fight, but it was Sean Connery. Yeah, but he's 89 years old, Calum. It's like,
doesn't matter.
Sean Connery.
Yeah. He is probably like at the pinnacle of old man strength.
No, if you've not seen any, he's unfortunately looking really, yeah. He's about half the size he used to be.
That's too bad. Well,
yeah.
He's in his 80s.
Yeah, he's getting on. I mean, he's a legend. But yeah, I would still lose that fight quite willingly. And as my wife always says and has commented, don't start anything. I have to finish for you.
If you would fight with Sean Connery and your wife would step in, not only would you lose the fight, chances are you would lose your wife.
Yeah, I'd have to stop her. I couldn't have her beating up Sean Connery. That would just be like, the man is a national treasure. He's one of my heroes. I don't even know why we're talking about fighting Sean Connery.
I don't either.
I mean, it's like, let's be realistic. Let's take on someone decent, like
I'm drawing a blank too.
Kent, the reviewer.
Kent with a U.
However, if we lost that one, then our careers are over.
You know what? We'd probably still get a 2.5-star review.
Oh, totally.
Speaking of reviews of The Fringe, I probably got the most unique review ever in 2015. I don't know if you've heard this story. This is the story that we almost actually talked about in the beginning of the episode. But as we have completely fully circled back. So I don't know if you've heard this story, but this is something that has actually followed me around the world. So in 2015, we did a show called Letters to West 113th. And instead of being kind of the giggly, fun, happy magic show that we kind of do, it's a little more dark. It's a little more dramatic. We kind of have some ambiguous nods to spiritualism and the hereafter. And we kind of made it a little spooky, along with other components. And on the very last day, we had a really good run the first time we did this show. It was our last performance on the Sunday at 4:00, and we had a sold out house, and it was awesome. And we were doing the show, and this woman comes up to me, or there's this woman sitting in the Yardbird suite, stage left in the audience in the shadows, and she's like rude, but not disruptive. Like, she's laughing at strange times. She's not derailing the show by any means, but she's so not like participating as an audience member the way you should be, that it's like I'm noticing it from the stage.
Yeah.
And I figure whatever, maybe she's, at one point she puts in headphones. There was a cell phone that went off. She laughed hysterically at it. It was weird. After the show, she comes up to me and I'm clearing the stage. I'm trying to get everything to wrap up. And she comes up and she introduces herself and she says, "Hello, I can't remember what her name, I think her name was Celeste. Celeste, if you're listening, I would love to get in touch with you and talk to you about this." She hands me this little bundle of paper and she says, "This is for you." And, people come up and talk to you after the show. So I say, "Thank you very much. I'm glad you were here. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Please have a good day. We have to get out of here. Thanks. Bye." And as we were packing up, our techs come up to us and they said, "There's not a show after you in the next slot. You have a little time, like you can slow down if you want." So I'm like, "Okay, great." I reach in my pocket and I pull out this bundle of paper and I read it. And I look at my one tech and I look at Hannah and I say, "You guys are never going to believe this." In the meantime, the other tech in the venue goes to where this woman was sitting because they noticed her being weird. And they hear this conversation. They pull up another piece of paper and they say, "Does it have something to do with the Bible?" And I said, "Yeah." This woman had ripped out 2 pages from the chapter of Luke and on an orange index card wrote me a note. And the note says, "Did you call your mother? Evil will not win. Love is stronger. I pray for your eternal soul, Jeff Newman. You were born a human being. Do not return here. I will bring others." So, yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Right? And like I was excited because this woman thinks I was so good. This woman thinks I'm real. And then everyone else in the room said, no, Jeff, she just threatened you. This is not this is not a good thing. So we took it to the Fringe box office, we submitted it, we told them all about it. They wouldn't let me keep it. I wanted to keep it so bad. So I took a picture of it to commemorate this. And then we laughed about it, we ended the Fringe, and that was that. And I forgot about it. Fast forward to the next year. And those of you who do the Edmonton Fringe, you'll know that they do the free-for-all in the beer tents where artists get that 90-second clip to promote their show in whatever way they choose. And I get there, and Ross Vegas is emceeing this little event. And everyone else coming up is, "Oh, this is Calum. He's doing his show at this venue, and this is what it is. And here's, go check it out. He's got this many shows left, and blah, blah, blah." You come up, you do your thing. He gets to me. He gets up. Ross Vegas comes up to the mic, and all he says is, "Up next is my good friend, Jeff Newman. He is the devil," and just walks away. And I'm like, what is going on? And I oh yeah, that's right. I told Ross about the story. So I do my little 90-second spot, and I bring up Liz Tolles the outdoor festival coordinator and another one of the main fringe players in Edmonton to do the trick with me, partially because she's right in my eye line and she's the only person who's really accessible, but also because before everything started, she was sitting there watching and she says, I swear to God, if you bring me up, I will murder you. So of course I bring her up.
My beer.
Yep. So after we do the trick, I read her mind. She's astonished. After it's all done, she comes up to me and she says, okay, 2 things. First of all, I hate you. How the hell did you do that? Second of all, what's this? Why are you the devil? What's going on? So I recount the story. And then when I finish, she says, oh my God, that was you? And I said, yeah. She's like, we had like meetings and like we were concerned. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, what jerk did something so offensive that it caused someone to think that they are the devil, write them a note and threaten them in the live. And that was you? Yep, that was me. And this has become a story now. Not everyone knows, but enough people know that the last time I was in Perth, Australia, on the other side of the planet, someone came up to me and said, hey, are you the guy who got the note? And at first I didn't know what they were talking about. I'm like, yeah. Like what note? And they said, some woman called you a devil after a magic show. And I said, yeah. I said, that was me. How did you know? Well, I know this guy who knows this guy who does a show with Al of France, and Al of France knows the story. And he talked about, and like, it circles. And it always, like every festival I'm at, someone new will come up to me and be like, are you that guy? Are you the guy with the note? So now it's become the thing that I'm infamous for.
Oh, I love it. It makes me now want to take my In Defense of the Devil show to the fringes. Basically, I'm like, just to see if I can basically get burned or something. I don't know.
But people are scared of it. So you are
amazing.
Completely founded. And
it's like, I'm now talking to you for an hour and 47 minutes. So yes, congratulations. You're now a dual record holder.
Perfect.
And you're the nicest person. And it makes me laugh that someone thought you were the devil.
Oh yeah. All the time.
Yeah. Now, a couple of comments come in. So apparently Woody Allen is an option for fighting.
Ooh, okay.
I like Woody Allen, though. Like, not maybe the things he's done, but I love his movies and his writing. Nicolas Cage is actually the one that I think we probably both need to just deal with Nick Cage. Sorry, Nick. It's just how it is. The other ones, I'm sorry, no. Sylvester Stallone, there is no way I'm ever not, or Chuck Norris, no,
absolutely not.
That's like a death sentence. I might be Scottish, but I'm not stupid,
right? There was someone did an interview with Michael B. Jordan when he filmed the next Rocky installment. And I guess kind of like the rite of passage in a Rocky movie, you should get your bell rung. So I guess he went toe to toe with Sly Stallone, and I guess he clocked him hard enough that he was out cold. Like, and Stallone is 70. You know,
yeah. He's still a tough looking fella.
Nope.
All those guys are. So we need to wrap this up. I'm thinking we need to let these lovely people who have sat now here for nearly 2 hours diligently, lots of lovely comments, go about their evening. The one question I always like to finish on is this.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in the industry, you've worked hard, you've learned, you've developed. If you met somebody who was coming into it brand new, becoming a performer or into magic or just whatever aspect of the industry, would you have any words of wisdom? What would be your Yoda-esque words of wisdom to impart?
I have had this conversation a lot. And the one thing that I continue to tell artists is that no matter what, do not undervalue yourself. That is the number one mistake that anyone who works in the arts, period, does. They fall into this trap of I'm an artist, people don't think I'm worth a whole lot. That is not true. If you're an artist who is dedicated to your craft and you have you have a passion and you have a skill that you can share with the world, that is worth something. And do not think for a second it has no value, because it absolutely does. And the second you realize that, that is the moment where your art hobby becomes a career. And go about it in a smart way, but do not, under any circumstances, undervalue what you're doing, period.
Very good words of wisdom. Because we all do it. We can't help it, you know.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. That's a great piece of advice. We've had lots of great bits of advice, and it's almost meshing together to make this. One of the reasons I asked that is because I kind of want to create this nice kind of link for people to actually understand, all these lovely quotes and like bits of advice from experienced performers. So thank you, Jeff. That's those are incredibly important. Never undervalue yourself in any walk of life.
Exactly.
In any walk of life. Unless you're Nick Cage. No, that's horrible. Let's not. No, Nick Cage. God, I'm going to get him at my door. He's going to come and beat me up. It's like, yeah. You're coming to defend me, by the way.
I'll bring ABBA.
Just look in the mirror. Just stand in front of him and pretend you're a mirror image. Do that whole Chronicles of Riddick thing.
It's like a T-Rex. They can't see you if you're moving. They sense the You stand perfectly still. Nicolas Cage won't see you.
Don't make a sound. Don't move. He can't hear or see you if you do. Oh. Yeah.
Just around the corner. Oh, he's here.
Yeah. Oh, I always remember that Ghost Rider 2 one where he's trying to do that mad thing. Oh, jeez. Oh, now I'm thinking of that in the context of a T-Rex.
Hannah just sent me another text. She says, guess who's watching National Treasure tonight?
You do that to him, Hannah. You punish him.
I guess it's payback for all the jokes.
Wait a minute. Dad joke. Setting yourself up for a cage match. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, these are the people that watch this show.
I love it. Great. Perfect.
Okay, Jeff, I could honestly keep this going all night. I'm really enjoying this. Just the fact that we have literally not kept on track for at least, I think probably 10 minutes is the longest we've kept on track here.
Yeah, but like I said, words of wisdom along the way.
Always, yes. Avoid Nick Cage movies, like ABBA. Yep. Be true to yourself. Wear hats.
Yep. Drink Scotch.
Drink Scotch.
Don't undervalue yourself.
Yeah. Always have a good woman behind you or beside you. I hate that behind you comment, but it is true. Behind every good man is an even greater woman. It sadly is true. We're admitting it. We're men of the world. We have to accept. And any man who denies that is single.
I have seriously considered making Hannah business cards that just say Hannah Rudd, Wrangler, and just that's what she does.
No, I think you would probably experience some severe paper cuts. They'd be like shuriken. Catch these, magic boy. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Compose. I now have to sign out the show without laughing and be all serious. So, Jeff, I want to thank you very much for coming on.
I had a great time.
I don't think I've laughed this much in one of the shows, so I am absolutely delighted. We need to grab a beer once the world starts to come back together, since we're both from Calgary.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, back garden beers and all that as well are options these days. So there's always ways, but we need to get together and actually just like annoy a whole bar with us laughing for how many hours nonstop. Ladies and gents, I want to thank you for joining. Everyone, thank you, Jeff, for being a part of this. I'm going to pop you into the back room, Jeff.
All right.
In the green room, you'll find ham and pineapple pizza. You'll find blue M&Ms with all the W's removed. You will find other juicy treats, and I will see you in a moment after I've signed off.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Have a good night, everybody.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, and I'm kind of like in such a good mood after this chat. So, ladies and gents, I hope you have enjoyed this show. This has been tremendous. We have hit a world record. Jeff is basically being a cheeky so-and-so with 55 minutes with one question and an hour and 55 minutes. He's going for the 55s for the show. I hope you have enjoyed this show. I've had great fun doing it. If anybody wishes to join us as a guest, do remember, email me at Calum, Lykan, storyteller. I should have this here. Let's do that. Email me at calumlycanstoryteller@gmail.com if you wish to come on as a guest, if you're involved in the arts, if you are a developing artist, a performer of some type. I know, for example, Luke is on the lineup, Lothar's on the lineup, Gerard Harris we've mentioned on the lineup. Chelsea is, I think it was Chelsea. Oh, I can never remember. There's a couple of people with similar names. Is it Chelsea that's writing a book? I think it might be Chelsea. So Chelsea could be an option to drag on for fun. So if you want to be a guest, please drop me an email and we'll try and fit you into the schedule. After the end of June, we will be going, are we in July? No, we're still in June, aren't we? Yes. We will be going to one... I can see Jeff in the green room laughing at me. We will be going to one episode a week. So from the 2nd of June, we will be going to every Thursday, once a week, Thursday evening, same time in June. However, there's a couple of new developments. I have decided to try that mysterious and crafty device called Patreon again. So if you are interested in supporting the show, we do have a Patreon account now. I should have actually had a link for that, but you know what? I'd forgotten about it until halfway through the show. Jeff mentioned something that triggered a thought, that triggered another thought, that triggered another thought. And then I thought about whiskey, and for some reason, Patreon came up. But we do have a Patreon page, and you can support the show by becoming a patron of that. There are some advantages to that, but go and have a look at the page. It's under A Scotsman Talks To on Patreon. Our next show, though, oh, you know what? Our guests are just fabulous. I'm so excited. We've just had an amazing show. Before that, we had an amazing show. Before that, we had an amazing show. Amazing? I'm doing Sean Connery again. Amazing show. And our next show is our first double act. We have the fantastic Drop Bear and Panda coming up this Tuesday, the 23rd. They were originally scheduled for earlier in the season, but we had that Tuesday off to support Black Lives Matter and the Blackout Tuesday. They have thankfully rearranged, and they will be with us this coming Tuesday, the 23rd. The fabulous Drop Bear and Panda, videos, comedy, humour, delight. These are the guys that helped me create this little gem, my storytelling CD. So I'm really looking forward to that episode. So do join us, 7 p.m, same place, same time, Tuesday the 23rd, for Drop Bear and Panda on A Scotsman Talks To. But thank you very much. Thank you to Jeff again. Thank you for joining. And guys, have a lovely night. I need to go and cool off now.